You've probably spent quite a bit of time thinking about whether you'll have enough money in retirement. Most of us have. Superannuation, savings, investments. We plan carefully for the financial side of retirement, sometimes for decades. But there's another asset most of us never planned for at all. And unlike money, you can't earn more of it, you can't save it up, and once it's gone, it doesn't come back. So if you're in your 50s like me, this is the one I most wish someone had made me think about, because this is exactly the decade it starts to matter. The good news is that once you can see it clearly, you can actually plan for it. And that changes everything about how you use the years you've got. Hi, I'm Linda and welcome to More Time to Be. On this channel, I talk about making the most of your healthy years, the travel, the big decisions, the things we keep putting off, and what happens when we finally stop waiting. So let me name it plainly. That asset, the one you can't earn more of, can't save up, and can't get back once it's gone, is your health. More precisely, the years where you're healthy and capable enough to do the things that actually take a fit, working body. We treat money as the thing that runs out, but your healthier years are the asset with the harder deadline, and almost nobody plans for them. Today, I want to talk about something I call the dual timeline, and 3 moments that made it suddenly, unavoidably real for me. A few years ago, Chris had a series of seizures and was diagnosed with epilepsy. His epilepsy is now very well controlled with medication, and we're not worried about his long-term health. But seizures are frightening, and they have a way of making very abstract ideas suddenly very concrete. Here's what I remember thinking in those moments. We're not going to be healthy forever. Not Chris specifically, both of us. In fact, all of us. There will be a point, we don't know when, where our bodies start making decisions for us, where things we take for granted right now, energy, mobility, clarity, become things we have to manage rather than just use. Of course, I knew that intellectually before, but knowing something and feeling it are very different things. The second moment was slower, more gradual. Our parents are all in their early 80s now, and they're doing really well for their age. But travel looks different for them than it did 10 years ago. The long-haul flights are harder, the walking is more limited, the spontaneity has narrowed. Everything requires more planning, more rest, more consideration of what's actually manageable. And I don't mean that as something to grieve or be afraid of. It's completely natural. It's simply what happens for all of us. But what struck me was this. I didn't really see it coming. I didn't notice the gradual shift until it was already obvious. And then I thought, our kids are probably going to look at us the same way one day. And the question is, what will we have done with the years before that shift happened? The third moment is the most specific and honestly the most useful because it gave me something concrete to work with. A trip to Antarctica has been on my list for a long time. It's one of those bucket list items I've always assumed would happen eventually. And honestly, I'd always thought of it as a trip for later. It's expensive, the kind of thing you do once you're properly retired, once the savings are sitting there and you've given yourself permission to spend that kind of money. I'd only ever thought about it in financial terms. Can we afford it yet? Not really, so later. I'd never once thought about it from a health perspective. And Like any topic I want to know more about, I started watching YouTube videos of people actually doing it. Getting in and out of zodiacs, climbing up rocky, uneven terrain, hauling themselves onto ice. To get the most out of it, it requires a pretty fit body. And I looked at where my fitness currently is, and I thought, if I want to do Antarctica, I need to be fit enough to actually do it. And fit enough doesn't just happen. It requires deliberate work, starting now, not closer to the time. Another of Chris and I's dreams is to walk the Camino in Spain. Again, another quite physical challenge, requiring 30 days of walking 15 to 30 kilometres a day. Not something that I could do now. So I've actually started. Nothing dramatic. I've begun walking more deliberately, thinking of it as Antarctica training rather than just exercise. It's a small thing, but it means the trip has stopped being a someday and started being something I'm actively moving toward. For the first time, my physical timeline was directly connected to a specific thing I wanted to do. It wasn't abstract anymore. So, what is the dual timeline? Here's what most of us believe, that retirement is basically a finish line. You save enough, you get there, and then the living starts. As if good health will simply be waiting for you when the money is ready. But that's not how it works, because there are actually two timelines running through your retirement years, and most of us only plan for one of them. The first is the financial timeline, how long your money needs to last, how much you need to live comfortably. Most of us have thought about this carefully. It's what the entire retirement savings system is built around. The second is the physical timeline, how long your body will allow you to do the things that actually require physical capability. Travel, adventure, active experiences, the things that can't wait indefinitely. Here's the thing most people don't realise. These two lines don't end at the same time. Your money, if you've planned well, might last 30, 40, 50 years. Your body's ability to climb in and out of a zodiac in Antarctica, that window is shorter, and it has already started closing. The question worth asking, the one I had to sit with, is this. Am I planning for both timelines or just the one? The encouraging part is that the physical timeline can be planned for, just as deliberately as the financial one. It means looking honestly at the things you want to do that genuinely depend on a capable body and asking when each one realistically needs to happen. Some things can wait until your 70s or 80s. A river cruise, time with grandchildren, a quiet week by the sea. Others, the Antarctica type things, the physically demanding ones, have a much earlier deadline than your bank balance does. Once you map those out side by side, you stop leaving the big, active dreams to a someday that quietly arrives too late. That kind of planning is the heart of a book I've been writing, and I'll share more about it soon. I'm not saying this to be alarming. I'm saying it because once you see the two timelines clearly, it changes how you make decisions. It changed how I think about fitness, not as something I should do just for general health, but as direct preparation for specific things I want to do, like Antarctica and the Camino. It changed how I think about timing, not we'll get to Antarctica eventually, but when in the next 10 years does this need to happen? It's an expensive trip, but can or should it really wait until we can access our retirement funds? And it changed how I think about the word later, because later is fine for some things. But for the things that require a capable body, later has a deadline. So here's what I'd love you to think about, and let me know in the comments. What's the one thing on your list that depends most on you being fit and capable? The thing that genuinely can't wait 20 years? And if you want to work through this properly yourself, what your two timelines actually look like and where the gaps might be, I've put together a free workshop and there's a link in the description. It's a good place to start figuring out what might need to happen sooner rather than later. And before you go, in my next video, I want to tell you about a phrase I came across that genuinely stopped me in my tracks. In Chinese medicine, there's no word for menopause the way we use it in the West. Instead, they call this stage of life the second spring. Not an ending, a second spring. It completely changed how I think about these years, and I think it might do the same for you. So thanks for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.